Control. Hey, citizens of the world, we're going to do this one more time. This is Bruce, by the way, this is going to be specifically about how the federal government shut down. What we're trying to figure out is whether the federal shutdown is going to affect immigration services. And before I start, this is not legal advice. This is not. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a consultant. This is just me facilitating a conversation with our community. My wife is going through this process, and as well as people in our community, so that's why we decided to talk about it. And thank you, Lena's World, for this great topic. Let's get into it. All right. So sorry guys about the technical difficulties. I'm actually trying a whole different system out here, so that's why I'm having some issues with sound. And could you guys let me know if you can hear me? First of all, I'm not even sure if you can hear me. Let me check my own sound here. Test. Yep, sounds good, working good. All right, so I got some people jumping on here. Really got to get used to this new system, and I apologize for some of the technical difficulties. Yes, okay, I'm getting yes. I can hear you. Great. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Awesome. So let's just jump right into this. And so what we're going to talk about is how the federal shutdown, which is going to occur tomorrow, 19 January 2018, how that may affect immigration services, or if it will. And as I said, I'm not a lawyer. This is not advice. After we talk about this, after we research this together, we'll open it up for questions and everything. But I just want to show you guys what I found on this. And this is actually, this first site here is actually from an immigration lawyer or some organization, Attorneys at Law, Barst and Kleiner, Attorneys at Law. And this is from the 2013 shutdown. The U.S. government has shut down before. Before we dive into it, why is there a government shutdown? Not going to get political here. That's not what this forum is about. This is just about facts and us analyzing those facts. So we're going to keep it to that. There's a lot of blame going back and forth, and there's a lot of just evil stuff going on. But you know, this stuff affects our life, so let's just focus on facts, okay? Without going down any rabbit holes. The federal government is going to shut down because our legislators, the Congress and the senators, can't agree on a budget for the United States of America. So because they can't agree on it, what it does is it makes it so that the government shuts down because they can't pay certain people. If the budget's not released, then they don't know how much to allocate to certain departments, and so that's what's happening. So what they do is they shut it down. This happened before, and it's just unfortunate, really, because it just affects people's lives, you know. So okay, let's just dive right into this. So let me see if I have make sure everything is good. The way I know things are good is by listening to people. Sound only, loud and clear. We can hear you loud and clear. Okay, great. So hopefully you guys can hear me. I mean, if you can at least hear me, I'll just keep going. What I'm doing is reading off of some reputable sources, which I'll cite at the bottom in the description below, so if you can't see it. All right, so let's keep going here. So this is from an immigration lawyer that they put this out in 2013 when the government shut down. So this gives us a precedent, or like a template that we can go by. So they said that following the inability of the U.S. Congress and senators to reach a budgetary agreement, the federal government they will shut down all budget-funded non-essential services starting on October 1st, 2013, which is exactly what's going to happen to us, possibly, if they can't there's a way that they can actually do a short-term budget where we'll extend it all the way till the 16th of February. So hopefully they at least can agree on that, and then they'll give them more time to figure out where they're going to allocate all these billions of dollars to these different departments. All right, so they're saying that the good news is that the USCIS and the U.S. Consular Offices, which is the Department of State, will continue to operate. And that's important news because USCIS does green cards, and they do the processing of the green card of the foreign nationals in the United States, as well as U.S. petitioners asking for their K1 fiance or their spouse to come to the U.S. They do that portion of it, and the U.S. Consular falls under the Department of State, which does a foreign. It's like that's the embassies and the consular offices that do the interview, and they issue visas. So those are the two main components of that are going to affect us. All right. So it goes on to say, therefore, non-immigrant and immigrant petitions will continue to be processed by the USCIS. So that's good news. Although processing time may increase, and the consular interviews will continue until reserve funds are exhausted. So what do they mean by that? Our offices remain hard at work. Okay, that's talking about them and their clients for the actual legal services. Department of State. Okay, so they go on to say, since the Department of State offices are usually funded for a 2-year period, meaning they already have funding, so they're not completely destroyed by this shutdown, the Department of State will continue to process such applications as long as sufficient funds are available to execute consular services. Nevertheless, past experiences with similar shutdowns suggest that any applications filed during this period will experience significant delays in processing. So what that means is if your fiance is in the process of actually, their case is already in the hands of the embassy, right? U.S. Embassy. They're processing the case right now. This could actually make it longer, so long as the government shutdown has occurred. So that's not good news. Let me see. And it goes on to say, if the shutdown becomes protracted, meaning it takes longer, like a shutdown for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, a month, 2 months, whatever, which can happen. Hopefully not. But it is possible that the Department of State will suspend all services other than emergency support of U.S. citizens abroad. So that's pretty definitive. I mean, they're basing this off of, this is based off of what happened in 2013, and they were basing it off of stuff that happened in previous cases to set. Now we have a real good precedent of what could happen in this shutdown that happens tomorrow if it happens. So now, question is, what is USCIS going to do? USCIS, once again, will be the guys who do your NOA 2. So if you've already submitted your I-129F and your package is going to the USCIS, this will affect. This is what the part of the process that could affect. All right, and it looks like they're not really talking about K1s or K3s or Cr1s. So. And I don't think Cr1s go through these guys, actually. So K1s and K3s and spousal visas. So key USCIS systems will be suspended or limited. So that's really bad news. And which one are they talking about? Let's see. The USCIS electronic immigration system, which includes E-Verify, will not be operational. All right, so it doesn't look like this part is affecting us. E-Verify is non-operational. Companies will not be able to verify new employees established. So this is affecting H1, H1Bs, E3s, H1B1 petitions because the Department of Labor is shut down. So I guess that they do, those H1Bs are done in conjunction with the Department of Labor. And since the Department of Labor will fully shut down, they won't be able to process any more of the worker visas, which is really sad and unfortunate, and it sucks. But let's do some critical study here, and let's take some other resources. Here's one of my favorite sites here. This is VisaJourney. They usually have some pretty good information. And somebody specifically a few hours ago asked about the government shutdown, and they're saying, my concern is if the government shutdown causes will it cause some issues to slow or stop the visa process? The answer is yes, it will slow it down, as we read before. And then somebody is citing the same thing that we just went through here from that lawyer site. And then there's some conversation here about whether or not it will shut down. Everybody seems to agree that it will slow it down for the visa process. And then this right here, this link takes us to a link about all the departments that shut down during the 2013 shutdown. And this will give us some idea of what's going to shut down again. It's just listing a whole bunch of departments here, but what we really are concerned about is USCIS and the State Department. So let's look for that. So USCIS actually falls under the Department of Homeland Security, and they're saying about 86% of the Department of Homeland Security employees continue to work during the shutdown. So that's great news. 86% of the department actually kept working. And that's as a fee-based agency, the USCIS continued to process applications, petitions for immigrations during the time of the shutdown. So that's telling us that it's going to continue, so that's great news, including petitions for immigrants and non-immigrant workers, as well as applications for adjustment of status. Some processing delays may have occurred because certain staff were furloughed. That's not good. So they had less staff at that time. I don't know if that's going to be the case with 2018. So let's keep on reaching here. Let's keep on doing some studies. Let's go to some news, and this article is talking about here's how the shutdown affects immigration services. Let's see. Let's read this here. Let's kind of go through, and all of these resources I'll put in the description below once I'm done with this. It says federal agencies that deal with immigration will be impacted by the government shutdown, but that doesn't mean the government's business with immigrations, from paperwork processing to immigration arrest, will stop. So it sounds like the paperwork portion of it will still continue, according to this reporter. Most of the employees in the Department of Homeland Security, which oversee immigration enforcement, are considered essential. That won't stop. So it's a priority to keep them on the job. All right, got it. Only a small number of workers are considered non-essential and subject to furloughs, meaning they're let go temporarily. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Let's see. Immigration paperwork. USCIS, the agency that processes immigration paperwork, will hardly be impacted at all. Okay, that's good news. Unlike some government agencies, they're most entirely self-funded. The fee. So every account that I'm reading is pretty much saying the same thing. They're already funded, so it's not going to be affected much as far as USCIS is concerned. And the DOS, the Department of State, is already funded, so they're going to continue as well. But there can be some delays, it sounds like to me. It says the fees they charge covers 90% of the budget. Okay, so that's the $525 that you spend to send in. That processes the paperwork, so that's what keeps it going. That's good. And it goes on to say, however, E-Verify, that's federally funded, will go dark. Okay, yeah, we already know about that. Let's see if there's any other news here. This is from the actual federal sites. Any kind of news that I get, I always double check it. I always triple check it to make sure that everything is, because there's a lot of fake news out there. There's a lot of people who trying to push an agenda or something. And all I want's the facts, right? So I always use several sources of news, several sources of government sites, everything, to get the truth, to boil it down to what actually happened. So on this site, I'm looking at uscis.gov, and I'm looking at all news, and they're not saying anything about the shutdown. They're not saying that, hey, we're going to be shut down for this or that week, and there's going to be some delays, none of that stuff. it's just business as usual. I don't see anything going on. They do talk about the Haitians status. That one's, that's a whole different subject, and Salvadorians, which is unfortunate, but they announced that stuff. So all big news gets announced on this site. Now let's look at Department of State. Same thing. I go to press releases because whenever something big happens, they do announce it on the government sites. They're not very good with questions. Like when you ask a question to them, sometimes they don't know it, or because they have some underling that's answering the questions. But if it's a big major news release, you can go straight to the site. And so that's about it, guys. My assessment of this, and you guys tell me what you think. I'm going to open up questions here right now. But my assessment is that, yes, it's affecting it. It's not going to stop it. It may delay it if they do the government shutdown. And remember, it hasn't happened yet. I guess they have till midnight tonight to make a decision on the budget, to agree on the budget, and to actually extend it one more month, I think, till the 16th. They would extend it to the 16th of February, and then that would give them more time to argue and or agree on the budget for the rest of the year. Hopefully they do come up with something. Knowing our government, I mean, it's just no telling what they're going to do, which is, it's really unfortunate. It sucks because this affects people's life, and it's just terrible that this is happening. So I'm gonna go ahead and answer, see what you guys have to say about this. What do you guys have to say about this? I'm just opening up the chat right now. See sound only. Okay, that's unfortunate. I think if you refresh, you might be able to see a picture. Let me see. Corey High had to restart the page. Yep. Let me see. Congress can't agree on a budget. Yep. Lion Lock says, am I the only one getting buffering? You guys having some issues with buffering? Eastwood says, sorry I'm late. Will this impact K1 immigration? So what I did was I went through a couple of resources, Eastwood. I'm not a lawyer. I don't work for them. I have no direct affiliation with Department of State or USCIS. I don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out together. From the resources that I picked up, I went to an immigration lawyers page. I went to the actual USCIS, the Department of State. Both those guys didn't release anything about any kind of slowdown. They may, we're going to check those pages periodically because they may release something about a slowdown or something, but there's no indication that it's going to stop. But the lawyers page was the best resource, and it said that in 2013, when the government shut down, I don't know if you remember that, but it was October 2013, government shut down. What happened was it didn't stop the immigration services. However, it did slow it down. So will it affect it? Probably have some sort of an impact on it if I was to guess about it. Mark Gomez says, will Filipino travel visas also be delayed? I think I answered that one. How long do these shutdowns last? The last one, how long did the last shutdown last, guys, in 2013? Was it, I want to say it lasted about a week, and there was a lot of backlash on that. I guess a lot of people were pissed about that because it really affected people's lives. I mean, certain people are not going to get paid. It's a disaster. So it will last as long as they don't make a decision. Corey, hi, if I'm not mistaken. Claude asks, what about if your case is at the NVC but has not been sent to Manila yet, but they did give a case number on the phone? So if it's at the NVC, that means it's at the State Department. NVC is part of the State Department. So I think that is, again, I don't think the Department, from what I read, and this is just a pure conjecture and guessing on my part based on what I read from 4 different resources. It sounds like it's not going to stop, but it's going to slow the process down. That's what it sounds like to me. Even if it's at the NVC, because NVC, National Visa Center, is actually part of Department of State. Let's see. Michael says, nope, got buffering, a few issues. Okay. Let me see. Other questions. Linda's World says, Corey, Gearhead High, there were two full government shutdowns during 1995 and 1996 that lasted 521 days respectively. Yes, and there was one in 2013, and I want to say that one lasted about 6 days to a week. I don't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it didn't last that long. So that's a good thing. Let me see. Raymond says it will also affect green card process. Well, yeah, because green card process is under the USCIS. So all the green cards are processed by them. So it could possibly slow that down. But it sounds to me like USCIS is not going to be as affected as, say, Department of State. So that's a good thing. So it sounds like it's going to continue, but it may slow it down if their staff goes lower. Eastwood says, thank you. You're welcome. Corey says, so it might be a good in the year or so. That's when I plan to start the process. Oh, yeah. I mean, in a year, I mean, this is not, I mean, yours is way out, so there might not even be another shutdown. The shutdown only lasts like a week or two. It's going to be as long as it takes them to approve it. And these guys, the legislators, the senators, the congressmen, they catch hell for shutdowns because people are not going to get paid. Funding is not going to happen for like critical research. The national park shut down completely. There's so many things that affect that they don't want it to shut down for long. So you're talking about weeks. You're not talking about months or years. Mark says, what's up? How you doing, Mark? Mike Babinski says, you went off 3 times now as well. I'm not seeing the outages, Michael. It might be your side of the system. Are you guys seeing buffering or outages as I'm talking here? I did have technical difficulties in the beginning. I had to restart this whole live, so I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but thank the Lord, this damn government. Shaking my head. I mean, tell me about it, man. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, especially considering how much money they get paid. But I'm not going to get political. That's pretty much all I want to talk about. Does anybody have anything else they want to add to this? Anything helpful to help the community? All of this is going to go on to Visa Approved Group. And again, if you have any further questions, you can contact us on Visa Approved Group and ask the group any questions you have. You can also you can contact us on eFilipinoWomen, aka YuriBruce.com, and as well as this channel right here on YouTube. You can also ask questions there. We do this weekly, something like this weekly. Yes, buffering 4 times now, but sound is still there. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. It's this new system I'm trying out. Mark Gomez says, who is the... Okay. Michael says, so what about all the things going on with Trump? Will it stop others from getting here because he said the remark about poor countries? Yeah, that's a whole different topic, and it sounds like it's going to affect Salvadorians. And it's just like so many different things happening with immigrations right now. It's a whole different topic, and it's unfortunate. I mean, I really feel bad for those who are affected by that. But we're talking specifically about Cr1. That's where we're deep diving into. Yeah, it just went offline. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that, guys. I might have to just go ahead and kill this. I'm going to ask a couple more questions, and I'm going to go ahead and cancel this. Let's see. Andy says, have any relatives affected by this change? Me personally, it's just Yuri. I'm not sure she's affected by some of the countries that are affected, like Salvador and Haiti. We're under a protection they had disasters there, so the U.S. opened up borders to allow them to come in while they got their stuff together. Country, they basically canceled that temporary. They had a temporary safe haven for them, and so that's gone, which sucks. Let me see. Lion Lock says, Bruce, you might have too many apps running. Looks smooth to me on my side. So I don't know. I'm not sure what the problem is, guys, to be honest with you. But let's keep going here. Who will be affected? Last question. Who will be affected? So the main people that are going to be affected by this, as far as the immigrations is concerned, it sounds like worker visas are going to be severely affected by this, and that's unfortunate because the Department of Labor is shutting down. If the government shuts down, right? So if they can agree on something, they might be able to get it to all the way till the 16th of February. If they can do that, then it buys them more time to make a decision. But the worker, like H-1B, H-1B1, one called E3, those are definitely affected by this. But K1, it sounds like it's just going to slow down. Alright guys, that's it. I'm out of here. I'm not sure what's going on with my feed. It sounds like some people are having buffering problems, but I hope that this was helpful to you, this conversation. Alright, we are out.